Naoma stirred the lentil soup. The small kitchen felt damp and cold, a draft slipping under the back door. The rhythmic clink-clink of the metal spoon against the old ceramic pot was the only sound. She was just trying to be helpful. Just trying to earn her keep in her son's house. The kitchen door swung open, hitting the wall. Her daughter-in-law, Trina, stood there, her face tight. She had just gotten home from her job at the salon. "What is that smell?" Trina snapped, dropping her purse on the counter. Just some lentil soup, dear," Naoma murmured, her shoulders hunching. "It's cold out." "I thought." Trina stormed forward. She snatched the heavy metal ladle from Naoma's hand. "Lentil soup? This is what you waste money on?" Her voice rose to a shriek. "Who cooks like that, useless woman?" Crack. Trina slammed the heavy bottom of the ladle onto Naoma's head. Naoma cried out, stumbling back. Stars burst behind her eyes. Hot soup sloshed onto her hand, stinging her skin, but the throbbing pain on her scalp was worse. "Lowell!" Naoma gasped, tears welling. In the next room, the living room, the sound of a game show suddenly blasted louder. Her son, Lowell, had just turned up the TV. He was pretending not to hear. The silence from the living room was louder than Trina's yelling. It was the sound of total abandonment. Trina sneered, tossing the ladle into the sink. "Clean this up. I'm ordering a pizza." She stomped out of the kitchen. Naoma was left alone, trembling. The soup bubbled, forgotten. She looked at her reflection in the dark microwave door. A small, gray-haired woman. A useless woman. Something inside her, something that had been asleep for 20 years, began to crack. It wasn't just the pain. It was the loudness of the TV. Her eyes scanned the kitchen. The pizza order. The wasted soup. Trina's expensive new laptop, sitting open on the counter where she'd left it. A cold, quiet resolve settled over her. She reached for the heavy ceramic soup pot. 5 minutes passed. Then, a deafening crash shook the entire house. It wasn't just a pot falling. It was a sound of total destruction. "What the?" Lowell's voice. Footsteps pounded. He ran into the kitchen. He stopped dead, and froze at what his mother had done. What did Naoma do? What did Lowell see that made him freeze? 6 months earlier, Naoma had stood in a small, quiet cemetery in rural Vermont. The air smelled of pine and damp earth. She clutched a single white rose as the last handful of dirt fell on her husband Jareth's casket. They had been married for 45 years. Her son, Lowell, held her hand. "You can't be alone, Mom," he had said, his voice thick. "The winters here are too much. Sell the house. Come live with us in Chicago. Trina and I want to take care of you." Naoma had been grateful. She felt lost, a ghost in her own home. The thought of being with her only son was a lifeline. So she did it. She sold the small house Jareth had built. She sold the furniture, the memories, everything. The man from the bank helped her wire the money from the sale. It was $300,000, her entire life savings. "Just send it to Lowell's account," she told the teller. "It's for safekeeping. He'll manage it for me." When she arrived in Chicago, Trina's smile was as bright and cold as the apartment's glass windows. "Welcome, Naoma," she chirped, taking her coat. "We're so happy to have you." Lowell hugged his mother, looking relieved. That night, Naoma settled into the small guest room. It was really just a storage room with a cot. Lowell came in to say goodnight. "Thanks for coming, Mom. This helps us, too. Having you here." He seemed stressed, but she chalked it up to work. He left the room, closing the door almost all the way. Naoma heard Trina's voice, a sharp whisper from the hall. Now that she's here, you need to be clear, Lowell. It's my house. She follows my rules. Trina is already showing her true colors. What rules will she force on Naoma? The rules became clear very quickly. Naoma was not a guest, she was unpaid help. She woke up before Lowell and Trina to make coffee. She cleaned the apartment, did the laundry, and cooked every meal. Don't use the good plates, Naoma, Trina would snap. You might break them. Or, we're going out. Don't wait up. They would leave for hours, and Naoma would sit in the dark, not allowed to turn on the living room lights. One day, she asked Lowell for $20. I'd like to take the bus, maybe see the lake, she said softly. Lowell fidgeted. Oh, let me ask Trina. She handles all the finances now. You know, since you gave us your money to invest. Trina overheard. Bus money? Why? I buy all the groceries. You don't need to go anywhere. Trina's face was a mask of false concern. It's dangerous out there for someone your age. Just stay here. Naoma became a prisoner. The $300,000 was gone, locked away in an account she couldn't touch. Lowell worked later and later, his face pale with stress. He avoided her eyes. The abuse from Trina grew worse. Useless. Slow. Stupid. One night, Naoma was walking past their bedroom. She heard them arguing. The door was cracked open. It's almost gone, Lowell. Trina hissed. The casino debt is due, and that man from your office won't wait forever. What do we do? Lowell's voice was desperate. We've burned through all of it. Trina was quiet for a second. What about her other accounts? Her husband's pension? There has to be more. We just have to find it. Naoma's blood ran cold. Casino debt? That man from your office? They hadn't invested her money. They had spent it. They spent all $300,000. Naoma knows the truth, but she's trapped. The next day, the house was electric with tension. Trina was on her laptop at the kitchen counter, her fingers flying. She was shouting at someone on the phone about interest rates and deadlines. Naoma knew, in that moment, that she had to get out. She had to run. But she had nothing. No money, no phone, no friends in this new city. She was completely trapped by the two people she trusted most. She started making the lentil soup, her hands trembling. She was on autopilot. She had to do something. She just wanted to feel normal for 1 minute. That's when Trina got off the phone, saw the soup, and exploded. We are back to the hook. Trina snatched the ladle. Who cooks like that, useless woman? The crack of the metal on her skull. The pain. And then, the sound of the TV volume rising. The sound of her son choosing to abandon her. Something inside Naoma didn't just crack. It shattered. The woman who sold her house, the grieving widow, the obedient mother, she was gone. In her place was someone else. Someone cold and sharp. Trina sneered and left the kitchen. Naoma looked at the bubbling pot. She looked at Trina's open laptop on the counter, the source of all the stress and a symbol of Trina's life. With a calm, steady hand, Naoma picked up the heavy ceramic pot. She walked to the counter. She didn't throw it. She poured it. Hot, thick, sticky lentil soup streamed over the keyboard, into the vents, sizzling and popping. Then came the crash. She dropped the empty pot on the floor. Lowell ran in. He froze. He wasn't looking at the broken pot. He was staring at the laptop, which was smoking, a single spark dying in a pool of brown soup. Trina ran in, saw it, and let out a scream that was not human. "Get out!" Trina shrieked, grabbing Naoma by the arm and dragging her to the front door. "Get out of my house!" Lowell just stood there, paralyzed. Trina ripped Naoma's thin cardigan, shoving her into the hallway. "You'll get nothing. You hear me? Nothing." The door slammed shut. The deadbolt clicked. Naoma stood in the hallway of the apartment building, wearing only a thin blouse and slippers. She had no coat, no wallet, no phone. It was 20 degrees in Chicago. Thrown out in the cold with nothing. How can she survive? The cold hit her instantly. Naoma stumbled to the elevator, her head throbbing. She rode it down to the lobby. The doorman gave her a strange look. "Ma'am? Are you okay?" She couldn't speak. She just pushed through the glass doors and into the freezing city night. The wind off the lake was like a knife. People in large coats hurried past, not looking at the old woman in slippers. She was going to die out here. She knew it. She walked for blocks, her feet numb, her hands turning red. She saw a police car parked by a coffee shop. She tapped on the window. The officer, a kind-faced woman, rolled down the window. "Ma'am?" She saw Naoma's head, the red mark from the ladle, the terror in her eyes. "Oh my God. Get in." They took her to a city-run women's shelter. It was loud, crowded, and smelled of disinfectant. They gave her a thin blanket and a cup of water. "You can use the phone on the wall," a worker told her. One 10-minute call. Naoma stared at the metal-cased phone. Her mind raced. She had no one. Jareth was gone. Lowell had betrayed her. Then, a number surfaced from deep in her memory. A number she had not dialed in 30 years. Her fingers, stiff with cold, punched in the numbers. It rang once. Twice. A third time. Then, a sharp, professional voice answered. A voice of pure confidence. "Calashay, attorney at law." "Who is this?" Naoma's voice was a broken whisper. "Calla?" It's Noma." There was a long, dead silence on the line. Naoma thought she'd hung up. Then, the voice came back, lower and full of disbelief. "Naoma Vance? My God. We all thought you were dead." "A lawyer?" "Naoma knows a lawyer." Subscribe now because this story is about to change completely. 2 hours later, a gleaming black town car pulled up outside the shelter. The women at the windows stared. A woman in a dark, expensive pantsuit stepped out. This was Calashay. She was all business, her face set like stone. She found Naoma huddled in the corner, wrapped in the thin blanket. Calla's professional mask broke for just 1 second. "Noma, what did they do to you?" Calla took Naoma from the shelter and into a suite at the Peninsula Hotel. She ordered food, a doctor, and a new set of clothes. "Talk," Calla said, pouring Naoma a hot cup of tea. And Naoma talked. She told her everything. About Jareth's death. About giving up her career as a corporate lawyer to be a wife and mother. About Lowell, Trina, the $300,000, the abuse, the ladle, the laptop. Calla listened, her expression growing darker with every word. When Naoma finished, Calla opened her leather briefcase. "I was your partner, Noma. I never stopped being your friend, even when you vanished into Vermont." I was just a mother," Naoma whispered, ashamed. "No," Calla said, her voice like ice. "You were, and are, Naoma Vance, one of the sharpest corporate litigators I ever knew. And they didn't just take your money. They committed wire fraud. A federal offense." Calla pulled out a tablet. "I did a little digging on my way here. Your son, Lowell, works at a high-end finance firm. And your daughter-in-law, Trina, has been making some very large withdrawals. Calla turned the screen to Naoma. It was a list of bank transfers. From Lowell's account, the one Naoma had funded, to an online casino. Trina has a massive gambling debt, Naoma. And she's been paying it with your life savings. Wire fraud. Gambling debts. Trina is a total criminal. What will lawyer Naoma do? The next morning, Naoma was gone. In her place sat Naoma Vance. Calla's team had brought her a wardrobe. A dark gray suit, a silk blouse. Her gray hair, once tied in a bun, was cut into a sharp, powerful bob. The useless woman was dead. There's more, Calla said, holding a new report. Trina's gambling debt is only half of it. The other $150,000? Your son, Lowell, wasn't just stressed at work. He was being blackmailed. Calla explained. Lowell had made a massive error in a client's account, losing them millions. A partner at his firm found out and was forcing Lowell to pay him off to keep quiet. They're both criminals, Naoma. They used your money to save their own skins. So the money is gone, Naoma said. It wasn't a question. All of it, Calla confirmed. They are living on fumes. They're broke. That laptop you destroyed? It was probably the last valuable thing they owned. A slow, cold smile touched Naoma's lips. Good. They have nothing left. Then they have nothing to fight us with. She stood and walked to the window, looking down at the busy Chicago streets. What's the plan? Calla asked. We can have them arrested today. No, Naoma said. An arrest is quick. They need to feel what I felt. Trapped. Helpless. I want them to lose everything, piece by piece. Their bank account, Naoma continued, her mind working like the lawyer it was. Lowell's paycheck deposits tomorrow. I want a lien. I want you to freeze their account. All of it. By morning, I want them to have zero. Consider it done, Calla said. But Naoma, what about you? What do you want from this? Naoma turned from the window, and her eyes were as hard as diamonds. I want my money. And then, I want to watch them burn. I want to watch them burn. Naoma is back. Lowell and Trina were in a full-blown panic. The destroyed laptop had cost Trina her job at the salon, which she'd been doing for fun while gambling away Naoma's money. How could you let her do that? Trina shrieked at Lowell. That was a $5,000 machine. Now what? What about me? Lowell yelled back. My blackmail payment is due. If I don't pay it, I'm fired, Trina. We're ruined. They had been screaming for 24 hours. The eviction notice for non-payment of rent was already on their door. Fine, Trina snapped, grabbing her purse. I'll go get groceries. We'll use the last of your paycheck. She stormed out and went to the local high-end grocery store. She filled a cart with wine, steak, and pre-made meals. She got to the checkout. The total was $350. She swiped her debit card. The cashier, a young man, frowned. I'm sorry, ma'am. It's declined. Run it again, Trina hissed. He did. Declined. Trina's face turned red. Fine. She pulled out Lowell's card. Try this one. Declined, the cashier said, looking nervous. They're both declined. Trina left the full cart and ran from the store. She called Lowell. What's wrong with the accounts? I don't know, Lowell said, frantically typing on his own computer. He pulled up their bank website. He stared at the screen, his blood turning to ice. Available balance, $0 account status, legal hold. Lowell? Trina's voice was sharp. Lowell, what is it? It's frozen, he whispered. The bank has frozen everything. It says legal hold. Trina, she did this. The old woman, she did this. Their money is gone. They have nothing. They couldn't buy food. They couldn't pay their rent. Their phones were shut off for non-payment. After 3 days of pure panic, a letter arrived, delivered by a courier. It was from the law firm of Shea and Associates. A meeting has been requested regarding the $300,000 in assets transferred from Ms. Naoma Vance. Your attendance is required. Tomorrow. 10 a.m. It's a trap, Trina said, her hands shaking. She's probably got some public defender. She's going to beg us for money. We have to go, Lowell said. Maybe we can. I don't know, apologize. Talk her down. They showed up at the high-rise building, their clothes wrinkled. They rode the elevator to the 50th floor. The reception area was all glass and steel. They're waiting for you, the receptionist said, not looking up. She led them to a massive conference room. Shea sat at the head of the long marble table. Sit. Lowell and Trina sat down. Where is she? Trina demanded. Where is the old woman? The conference room door opened. In walked Naoma. She was not the small, gray woman they knew. She was in a sharp black suit, her hair perfect, her eyes cold. She held a leather-bound file. She looked like a queen. Lowell stopped breathing. Trina's jaw dropped. Naoma. Naoma didn't look at them. She sat opposite Kala. Thank you for coming. Her voice was not the voice of a mother. It was the voice of a CEO. What is this? Lowell stammered. Mom, what's going on? Naoma finally looked at him. That, she said, sliding the file across the table, is the wire fraud report, the bank records of your wife's casino debts, and the transcript of your blackmail arrangement. Trina opened it and went white. That report, Naoma said, is being filed with the U.S. Attorney's Office tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. You will both be arrested for felony fraud and extortion. No! Trina gasped. Unless, Naoma continued, you sign the papers in front of you. A full confession. And a contract that garnishes 50% of your future wages for the rest of your lives until my $300,000 is repaid. You have 1 hour. She has them. Prison or a life of debt. What would you choose? Trina's eyes darted around the room, looking for an escape. You can't prove any of this. You useless old. Silence. Kala snapped. You committed wire fraud, Mrs. Salazar. We have the bank routing numbers. You are looking at 10 to 15 years in a federal prison. Your husband is looking at the same for his part and for his own felony blackmail. Lowell broke. He put his head in his hands and let out a choked sob. He was not crying for his mother. He was crying for himself. I'm sorry, he wept. Mom, please, I'm sorry. It was Trina. She made me. Shut up, you fool. Trina shrieked, slapping him across the face. And assault, Kala added, making a note. My client's head wound has been fully documented. Trina, seeing no way out, grabbed the pen and signed the confession, her hand shaking with rage. Lowell signed his, tears dripping onto the paper. Good, Naoma said, standing up. Our business is concluded. So that's it? Trina spat. You take all our money? We're just broke? Oh, no, Naoma said, walking to the door. Your confessions go to the police. The wage garnishment is for me. The criminal charges are for the state. But I confessed. Lowell cried, looking up at his mother. Mom! You can't let them arrest me. Naoma paused at the door. She looked at the son she had loved, the boy she had raised. She saw only a weak, selfish man. I'm not letting them do anything, Lowell. This is what you did. You turned up the TV. You must face the consequences. 2 police officers, who had been waiting outside, entered the room. Trina Salazar? Lowell Salazar? You're under arrest. Naoma walked out of the conference room. She didn't look back. Kala joined her at the elevator. So, Kala said, back to Vermont? Back to retirement? Naoma looked out the glass window at the Chicago skyline. She saw the future. No, she said, a small smile playing on her lips. I was thinking of taking the Illinois bar exam. I hear your firm is looking for a new senior partner. Kala smiled. I think I know the perfect candidate. The elevator doors opened, and Naoma Vance stepped inside, ready for her new life. Naoma gets her justice and a new career. What a comeback! Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more incredible stories.